This is by the press Nijisanji. The downfall of WACTOR, the worst VTuber agency. Yeah, let's get into it, I'd say.
It is without question that 2023 is the year of the yabs. From all sides, big corpo, small corpo, micro corpo and indies, everyone's been tanking a lot of goodwill and reputation. And this year, thanks to the general VTuber community putting a spotlight on everybody else aside from the big three agencies, there have been many recorded rise to powers and—
Yo, Pippa! I love Pippa. I love watching Pippa. Yeah. I genuinely enjoy watching her. I really do. She's great.
All from graces. Truly, we've seen perhaps the worst and best sides of VTubing this year. From the most heartwarming stories of new journeys and growth from their past.
So what's interesting also is a lot of like smaller corporations have are done. I've seen like 3 small corporations just like gone, reduced to atoms, quitting. And I think actually it's going to be a lot more over the course of like now the rest of 2024 and 2025. There will be a lot of VTuber agencies dying.
To cold, terrible stories that involves having talents getting their livelihood and personal life threatened. But while you may have your own opinions to decide who the worst VTuber agency is, I am here to recall to you one of the more infamous incidents that happened in this industry's history. An agency so terrible that the term Black Company has been associated with their name here in the EN side of things. A VTuber company by the name of WACTOR. For some
I've genuinely never heard of these. I have really never heard of this. So I'm actually genuinely curious how bad it actually is.
Disclaimer, I am redacting a lot of personal information as well as not talking about topics that are of sensitive nature. I am not going to cover a lot of incidents that doesn't really concern the main subject. This video is going to cover the yabs of the company, not necessarily the yabs of the talents. Unless relevant, of course, and aside from that, there will be topics in this video that many people may find uncomfortable. So, with that being said, let's begin with a brief history. Many people might not realize this, but WACTOR has been in the industry for quite a while, as early as 2018, actually, a couple months after Nijisanji launched their first wave. But like other VTuber agencies that was just starting up at that time and still figure things out, they were struggling to hold up their talents.
It is interesting. I have really never heard of these people. Really never.
To maintain the peace. In fact, it was quite bad.
Okay, so that model. Okay, so we've seen it. This model is what they have used in their rebranding. As far as I'm aware. From what we've seen from Ref's second channel.
Growing pains of an agency quickly took a toll on them. And even perhaps a sign of their mismanagement and how things were truly bad behind the scenes. Let's have a look at one of their first generations. WACTOR publicly started hosting an audition call as early as August, calling for 3 members. They would then debut Hizuki Miyu, Hiroshimiya on October of 2018, with the third one, Otogi Lilu, following 4 months later. There were no real establishments on how close or connected these people were. Hell, they weren't even a group, though they would eventually form the unit Mirais. Another audition call would open for new members of the group and another generation, but in less than a year, one of the OGs, Otogi Lilu, graduated. Reasons for graduating is unknown, but shortly after her graduation, the new generation that they opened audition calls for debuted around the same time.
There's a lot of lollies in this
Aina, Yuyu, and Hana. Ryu was terminated due to a breach of contract literally 2 months later in December though, and keep the termination in mind because it foreshadows and hints at a problem that WACTOR has from the very beginning. In any case, the first generation Mirais got their new members come December as well, Leah and Pio, and unfortunately, Mirais would suffer a heavy blow as another OG member, Irizumiya, would graduate shortly
Okay,
after.
so 2 are dead.
Not only that, but another
2 are
VTuber,
wiped.
Kokoro Ichiru, would join the second generation, and very shortly after, 2 more terminations would happen, Aina and Yuyu from the second generation. And then Ichiru herself, come late 2020, would also
What? What? This is like a is this like the hardcore run version of like a Minecraft playthrough? Because man, these people are getting wiped. Wow.
retire due to management issues. Of the VTubers that remained on WACTOR at the time, only these remained, where they would wipe all of their previous group names and merge to form one unit named WACTOR. And a lot of them were gone via terminations. Terminations are a rare occurrence in many VTuber agencies.
Huh? So no graduations, straight up getting terminated. So in this case, they might have done something wrong? That's weird.
It's something of a last resort. Many reputable companies would try to resolve issues that the talent has, or tard wrangle or reprimand them when they do things or plan to do something wrong. Nobody wins in a termination. The agency tanks a reputational hit, and the VTuber in question loses a lot of respect, and the fanbase gets a very bad and depressing time. But when you have terminations and contractual breaches left, right, and center, even as a small company, it's only a matter of time that many people's eyebrows are going to get raised. That red flag.
I think in my 6 months of now VTubing, I have not seen the termination yet. Like, at least from the ones I watch, like the corpers that I like here and there encounter. So that's interesting. Especially that many terminations. This is weird.
Flags and certain patterns will get identified. And if we were to be graceful and give them the benefit of the doubt, this was a time where the industry was still new and agency culture was still fresh. Nobody really knew what to do. And for a time, it would seem like that was the case with WACTOR. Because come 2021, that was when they'd really find their niche in the market, with their expansion towards the Spanish-speaking demographic. Many people would say this is a good idea. Nijisanji and Hololive pretty much dominated the JP market, and it was going to be hard now to try and find their footing with the JP VTuber industry, especially at that time that they were being filled with all sorts of small and...
I mean, yeah. Just, you know, jump over to Spanish. I don't think we have like a German VTuber agency. No, I don't think so. We don't have that here. Not that I'm aware, at least.
Micro corpos. So, they expanded to the rest of the world. The members made their own content and videos catering to the Spanish demographic, and they would even expand over to Bilibili, given that Hololive just lost their massive presence there and created a power vacuum, and particularly since Bilibili sponsored them. And it is in here that our persons of interests debuted. In the middle of their rise to relevancy, Misora Hina, Shino Laila, Kurari Rose, and Hushina Suzu debuted. They would open auditions for a new generation and establish themselves as a strong and sizable agency, and their talents would even breach 100k subscribers and the newer talents riding on their wave. Overall, it seemed like they were finally shedding their shell, learning from their mistakes, and started caring more about how the world saw them and how they operated and how they treated their talents. Even during their rise, there were still many problems, yes. There were the usual graduations and contractual breaches.
So everything seems normal for now. Also, I like this model quite a bit. I think this is a good looking model.
But still again, perhaps they were just growing pains. After all, even Nijisanji's absolute dominance in 2018 had a lot of managerial problems as well. Hololive back in their...
However, that is still a thing. However, Nijisanji is still a thing because man, that company sucks. At least the EN branch. You don't hear too much controversy about like the Japanese branch, except for like the Yap situation. But that one is like has nothing to do with Nijisanji in particular. Well, that issue wasn't created by Nijisanji.
Golden year of 2020 also had many glaring issues that even the most dedicated fans could not ignore. Point is, even in an agency's best eras, there will always still be problems. And those problems don't necessarily mean that they are a bad company. What if we still gave them a shot? 2022 was a time rife with problems for WACTOR. A time where any normally competent company was supposed to make use of the lightning they just caught in the bottle, to reflect and improve upon their growing pains. In the beginning of the year, Hana was nuked. stopping all activities due to health reasons, and come March, they would gain international attention in the worst way possible.
What did they
Remember
do?
Shino Laila, one of our persons of interests? See, when she debuted in 2021, she got suspended 5 months later for contractual breaches apparently. And now, in 2022, well, WACTOR came out with an announcement that attached her real name, with all the intentions of filing a suit against her.
Huh? What do you mean? Posted an actual document with a real name on Twitter. Eh? They straight up doxed her? What?
And that the reason why this was happening was because she streamed on a PL account. Why she did this was because allegedly WACTOR delayed payments for her and had to get her income somewhere. It essentially trapped her. And this told the community two things. One, WACTOR had an exclusivity clause where the talents are not allowed to make content under different aliases for as long as they are in the company, unlike Nijisanji and Hololive, who can make
an exclusivity clause. That's a weird one.
Make whatever fucking content they want to make in their PL accounts. And two, WACTOR was a very scary agency to be under and to be a fan of. An agency that may actually be deserving to be called a black company.
These motherfuckers straight up dox you when you don't if you fuck up. Wow. Okay, this is genuinely worse than Nijisanji. This is already worse. I don't think Nijisanji has done anything that's like on that level of like doxing somebody publicly. You're an employee. Wow.
I know black company is a word loosely thrown around these past couple of months, but this time, everyone actually meant it. At the time this was happening, another WACTOR VTuber and fellow genmate of Laila.
Let me first of all, what does black company specifically mean? Let me Google that. Black company in Japan. Companies with unethical or questionable working arrangements in Japan. Okay. Now I know. Now we know.
Kurari Rose got suspended for unknown reasons. But given WACTOR's track record of suspensions and what eventually happens, I think we all know where this was gonna go. In fact, both Laila and Rose, and another who was presumed to be Hannah, who just retired this year due to health reasons, would actually respond to WACTOR in a coordinated series of Twitter posts, with them announcing what they would do with the company going forward. Laila in
Okay. I don't necessarily understand the idea of like suspensions. Because like, doesn't that harm the company monetarily if somebody's not allowed to stream for a while? Shouldn't there be, I don't know, I find this weird.
Indicated that what happened to her was illegal, and Rose wasn't even aware that she breached any contractual terms and that the termination was a one-sided affair with zero communication. Both Laila and Rose said two important things. WACTOR was uncooperative. They were not responding to their prompts. To add insult to injury, fellow Gen member Hoshino Suzu also declared that she would retire a few months after Kurari Rose and Shino Laila.
You know the meme with like the dog sitting on his chair on the table and everything around is burning? This is Misora Hina right now. Because everyone is gone. Her Gen members are wiped from existence. Wow.
That was suspended, and the fanbase was set on fire. It was a situation that WACTOR was not able to escape from. Their names would be associated with being a shady company here in the EN side of things, a label that would haunt them throughout the rest of their continued existence as a company. But things would go silent from here on out. In fact, they would debut new talents and even ride on the male VTuber trend by debuting their first male generation. But it seemed like their target demographic didn't seem too loud in their bleating and asking for WACTOR to take responsibility for. I mean, they were still complaining, WACTOR just wasn't responding or acknowledging them in any significant way. Hell, they would even
when I look at this, like there's really rare, like male, like big VTubers, like agency VTubers. There are not a lot that are like super like successful. Vox Akuma, some of VShojo, some Nijisanji dudes, but they're not that many. They're really not that many.
Commit to the Spanish-speaking market and fully release their fully dedicated WACTOR ES branch. Not just that, but they would even aim for Indonesia and China. PR-wise, this is actually one of the wiser things to do as an agency. When met with fierce backlash and opposition, you either stay silent and slowly improve and change as a company, letting the results speak for themselves until the fanbase starts to forget about what you've done, or you make a statement and actually commit to it. WACTOR did the former. Overall, they seemed like they were hell-bent on expansion and taking advantage of the growth they got earlier this year. They were getting into many collaborations with big names such as Nijisanji, getting all sorts of recognition, growing fast and hard. That one incident with Layla was a massive black mark in their resume. Many people still bring it up whenever anything related to WACTOR surfaced. The EN side of things saw them as terrible, yes, but aside from that, things...
Yeah, and now they're basically like rebranding and using models from and YouTube channels from previous members. They are not escaping.
Were going as planned for them. Things were going seemingly smoothly, with the key word there being seemingly. Come 2023, it became quite obvious that things were not looking up for them. In fact, this was the year where WACTOR would officially die. Let's rewind the clock a little bit. Back in July of 2022, a couple months after the Layla and Rose drama, there was a threat.
This went completely over my head. This went completely over my head. What? That's interesting.
Started by a certain indie VTuber who shared her experiences in almost joining WACTOR, even to a point of speaking with their higher-ups, but when she saw the contract, she thought that WACTOR was just not it, full of contractual terms and clauses that were oddly dangerous. It was a tweet that was just discovered by many during the start of the year. And remember Misurahina, Kurari Rose, and Layla's genmate? Well, she became WACTOR's biggest talent, and she disappeared for an entire month since her New Year's tweet without any notification or updates towards her fanbase, and a few other members were also going silent.
That's weird.
Many WACTOR fans became worried for their Oshis. Eileen, now Shino Layla, had this to say about it, essentially throwing shade at her former agency's silence and hoping that everybody will soon realize the absolute state of the company. And remember,
gonna be honest, I don't necessarily like get the idea of like having an Oshi. Sorry, but I don't know. It's just like I find it weird to me, but like I don't know. I just find it a little weird.
That indie earlier that spoke out about her experiences of almost joining WACTOR? Well, she was threatened and was told to remove her thread, with many others told to remove any content related to WACTOR if they were negative. WACTOR would of course respond to this, asking fans to be supportive of the members and even throw a little implication that they may pursue legal action. Not just that, Layla and Kurari Rose would update their fanbase yet again, sharing a coordinated tweet regarding their legal progress with the company, and they all said the same thing. WACTOR was bluffing. They did not respond to all attempts to contact them, and now they're hiding away. It is in here that Hisora Mina would also make her grand re-entry into the scene, by revealing her PL as Meiko and retweeting Layla and Rose's tweets and posting her own statement, confirming that she did in fact leave the agency without any sort of formal notice and making it clear that her departure with the company was not under good.
Okay, so pretty much just left the company and rebranded. Okay.
Terms. It's important to note that all of this crippled WACTOR's operation to a massive degree. Misora Hina and a lot of their big hitters leaving WACTOR and publicly shaming them like this hurt the company's financials a lot.
I mean, yeah, that would hurt. That would hurt if your if your best worker pretty much just like your best employee pretty much just leaves. That's like Vox Akuma leaving Nijisanji. That would hurt. That would certainly hurt.
Perhaps even without the big talents leaving, WACTOR was never financially stable in the first place though, as Hina would actually confirm and mock WACTOR for being unprofitable and being in the red for quite some time. After all this went down, WACTOR was feeling a lot of pressure externally and internally. See, it wasn't just the destroyed support of their general fan base that absolutely screwed them over, it was one other problem that added a lot of unnecessary internal package: the favoritism. We've talked about favoritism in this channel a lot, with Nijisanji being the most notorious example.
Yeah. So pretty much was Nijisanji the one that makes the most money, gets the most sense, gets the most like support. Pretty much like a meritocracy, if you will. Like they have pretty much like a meritocracy in that company, in that agency, where like the best one gets also the most support, pretty much.
But while Nijisanji's favoritism for Luxium back in 2022 was understandable in the business sense, because they were the cash cows, and it made sense that as a for-profit agency, Nijisanji would go this route. But the favoritism in WACTOR was for a not so understandable reason in any capacity and any sense.
This is not going the way I think it is, right? This is not going the way I think it is, right?
At all. That is, if the favoritism rumor was true though. It basically goes like this. A certain member, Mitsuru Gilia, was accused to be favored by the CEO and the agency, getting all sorts of events and amenities, while the other girls, especially in the Espanol side of things, were not so accommodated, despite them averaging higher numbers. Of course, this could be explained by many things, like the fact that Leah was Japanese and a lot of the better performing members were not, making it difficult to communicate and include them in the amenities that WACTOR could offer the Japanese girls. Perhaps it could even be the xenophobia, given, Japan's track record when it comes to foreigners. But again, the explanation that a lot of schizos opined on was the fact that apparently Leah was having an intimate relationship.
I predicted that. That's what I meant with don't hope this is going the way I think it is. And it went the way I think it was. Okay, interesting. Yeah, interesting.
With the CEO. And suffice to say, a lot of the demographic bought the rumor and actually tried confronting Leah about it. And what did not help was the fact that Leah tried to address and debunk this, and nothing really came out of it. She basically said something along the lines of, "There's no way to prove that I slept with the CEO, but there's also no way to prove that I did not." Which is a very roundabout.
I mean, full honesty, yeah. Like, if she can't disprove it, how would she be able to do that? She also can prove it.
About and confusing
Give us the DNA test.
Way to basically state that people will not believe what she'll say anyway and still believe their own rats. But while that point is good, this statement could have been worded better. In fact, it just made her a lot more suspicious, actually. There's also an added point to the rumor that she was the one responsible for the graduation of the girls she didn't like. Ultimately though, she graduated from WACTOR, getting the chance to become an indie, unlike a lot of those that
I remember the cool video about the 80s and 90s pirate scene, but it's not in English. Well, then it's not. Then I can unfortunately not react to it.
WACTOR discharged. This served to actually kind of enforce the favoritism sentiment, actually. It made some people upset, as their name was dragged through the mud with so much pressure, talents leaving left and right, resources bleeding, public goodwill going down the drain. It's the sort of thing that just makes a CEO break. Around 2 or 3 weeks
What do you mean? Did the CEO lose it?
After all of this went down, WACTOR decided to burn itself, as an attempt to scorch the earth below them and in hopes of rising out of their ashes like a phoenix. The rising out of the ashes part is their attempt to rebrand the company and the talents. Their new generations were given new names, and they'd put down their websites to rebrand, an attempt to get away from the WACTOR brand and the negative connotations associated with it. In terms of business, this makes sense, so they could salvage the company. But what did not make sense in any capacity was the scorching the earth part. WACTOR put out a notice that seemed like what was their response to the legal notices made by Kurari Rose and Lila, threatening legal action against the members who were responsible for exposing and burning down their reputation. However, they did one other thing, and that was when they fully hard-doxed their former golden goose. This was
Which retard is running this company? How do you do the same mistake twice while rebranding?
leagues above what they did to Lila. Not to downplay the severity of the actions against Lila, of course. In Lila's case, they only showed her real name. In this case though, they revealed more than that. They included her full name, her ID number, and her general location. Information
Okay, that's a full-on dox. That's a full-on dox.
that would have been more than enough to get some unruly and dangerous individuals to find her. This, I have to make you understand, was not an act that was out of touch or accidental or unprofessional that a lot of other corpos make. This was a vengeful and malicious stunt. This isn't the only thing they did though. They also necroed her channel and posted a video which contained their announcement and that information. Even on Hina Misora's YouTube channel, they left the information there so people could find it. The video where they posted her information was deleted by YouTube themselves after being reported.
The fuck? Yeah, that was 100% out of malicious intent.
But her information still remains on her channel. And to deeply instill into your mind how absolutely petty and pathetic WACTOR was, they necroed Misora Hina's Twitter account too to rile up support and redirect fans to a PR stream that announced the lawsuits against the former members. All of these facts makes it clear that WACTOR wanted the person behind Misora Hina to be in danger. And to say that the Spanish demographic and their general fan base was disappointed would be this year's understatement. Meika, again, Misora Hina herself, would actually respond to this. Actually, she made fun of the company and still standing tall, despite everything. Many people pointed out the fact that this is illegal to the
Let's go! She did not give in!
country Hina resides in, and the fact that WACTOR is not just a coward, but is a Japanese company throwing out lawsuits and making legal acts and threats to the people involved is something of a difficult endeavor. Cross-country legal shenanigans is quite a puzzling thing to figure out, so even I'm not sure that anything can actually be done from it. And remember Mitsurugi Lia, the one everyone accused of favoritism and sleeping with the CEO? She got a lot of flack
That
from
is
the angry mob,
interesting
as
to
a lot
have.
of people were
Really
still upset
interesting.
about the whole favoritism thing.
That is very
And the
interesting.
situation turned dire for her, because in the middle of it all, she
That is very interesting.
posted a tweet, or rather, a family member posted a tweet in her stead, saying that she will cease being Mitsurugi Lia and stop completely. And that she tried to commit unalive, and now she's going to delete everything. These were the final
I guess that means that there was probably some truth behind this.
nails in the coffin when it came to WACTOR's downfall as a VTuber agency. The goodwill, what potential they could have reached in the EN side of things, and the grip that they had on the Spanish demographic, all of it wasted, drained down the gutter. Again, WACTOR is reorganizing and attempting to eradicate the bad connotation around their name, and so far the results are not that good. As an example, two members were supposed to debut on March, and they just actually flat out quit a month after the hard doxing. And every other VTuber afterwards
Understandable.
all just left and became silent. No notice of terminations or graduations or anything. Just silence. I suppose you may try to wipe away the external problems regarding your name, but all attempts of doing that are all futile when internal problems persist. After this whole situation, a lot of the members expressed concerning sentiments regarding self-harm and depression. I'd like to respect their privacy, but the reason I'm telling you this is because a lot of people don't quite understand or grasp how big this was, how traumatizing and terrible this situation was to the people involved, and
So, and now they're back. Completely rebranded. However, they're retards because they use the old channels and models. This is stupid. This is very stupid.
to the agency's fan base. I originally wanted to talk about what happened to everyone that left the agency, but I'd have to track everyone down. I also figured that that will be going out of the scope of this video, even though a lot of them have actually branched off and have had some interesting developments afterwards. A lot of the former members have re-debuted as indies, and other people, like Lila, are now even part of better VTuber agencies. Of course, I'd rather not find all of them. Frankly, that would be an undertaking that would be too much effort for little value in this video. As for WACTOR, we may never know what it is going on internally. The official Twitter account is still posting event updates and all that sort of stuff, but with their biggest hitters, no, actually most of their talent's gone, this company may never, ever recover in...
Well, it hasn't really, like, recovered, because, like, they completely rebranded. New name, new everything, except the models in the channel. They will not recover completely, ever. They won't ever recover. Because, like, people know these models.
Anyway at all. Really, this was an interesting case of a company as old as Nijisanji and who could have potentially reached a similar level of popularity and renown in the Spanish side of things. Someone who had similar grand goals of expansion, but without the internal integrity to make it happen. It serves as a warning to many who may wish to join an agency, that despite the popularity, the public reputation, the community reception, we never truly know what is going on behind the scenes. In a small and interconnected industry,
I mean, that's pretty much the end of the video, right? So, yeah, now I know what this company is doing, or was doing for that matter. Also, I am never if I ever, like, go to a size where I could be offered, like, being part of, like, a VTuber agency, this shit ain't happening. I'll stay in indie. Because, yeah, I think I've seen enough weird, VTubing agency shenanigans. I think I've seen enough. I truly think I've seen enough. I don't need any more. Never again. I would not do that. Never.